What up, fight world? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Back with my original segment, Boxingego's First Look, a tale of the tape series where I give you guys a look, a sneak peek, a preview of the fight before the fight. April 22nd, Showtime, Premier Boxing Champions, Brooklyn Barclays Center. It goes down. You have a fight between two former welterweight title holders, Andre the Beast Berto versus Showtime, Shawn Porter. Now, this is a fight I'm really looking forward to. I think it's a good fight. They added Luis King Kong Ortiz on the undercard, and this is the type of fight where I really cannot see it not delivering action just based on the two styles. Stylistically, it's a very good fight. Now, both fighters in their last performances, although only one of them won, Berto's coming off of a win, Shawn Porter isn't. However, let's look at those. Now, Andre Berto in his last fight, both of them are actually on a bit of a layoff too, and haven't fought anytime this year. They haven't fought since 2016. So Andre Berto, I covered that fight. It was in the StubHub Center in Carson, California. It was a grudge match against vicious Victor Ortiz. Victor Ortiz obviously beat Berto and was the first person to do that in his pro career when Berto was on the rise, and at the time he was fighting on HBO, and there was a lot of interest in Berto and a lot of exposure, and Victor Ortiz put a halt to that. They traded knockdowns. It was a fight of the year type where Victor Ortiz had his hand raised at the end of the night. Berto, I'm sure that probably haunted him for years, and later down the line he got a chance to fight Victor Ortiz again, and again I covered that fight live. It was an exciting fight. Victor Ortiz actually knocked Berto down first. Berto got back up. He said the sun was in his eye, and then he came back strong, and he landed a vicious, let me tell you, vicious uppercut that it knocked Victor Ortiz down, and the fight was stopped a little bit after that because Ortiz was basically done. Now, I know Victor Ortiz gets a bad rap for past occurrences like fouls and things where you could get disqualified and just overall a quitter-like mentality, but seeing that fight, being that close to the ring at the StubHub Center, I really think he was genuinely hurt. I don't think Ortiz was in there quitting, like mentally just breaking because the moment got too big. I think he was genuinely hurt. Berto has a deceptively sneaky uppercut, and I mean, that's one of his money punches. And I talked to Berto post-fight, and he said I had to bring the uppercut out of retirement, and that's exactly what he did in the Victor Ortiz bout. That's the last time he fought, and that was in the summertime, spring or summer of last year. And then since then, he's been MIA. Shawn Porter, he last fought in the summertime also, and he fought against Keith Thurman. Now, some people thought Shawn Porter won the fight. It was a very competitive fight. It was a fun fight. Nobody got knocked down, but they traded heavy artillery, and it was just a phenomenal fight of the year type. And that fight was on Showtime or CBS. It was presented by Premier Boxing Champs. I believe it was on CBS. It was a great fight. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a pulse-pounding type of fight where it was good all rounds, and I expected Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman to be a little bit more of that, but Keith Thurman had a little bit of a different game plan, maybe even learn from the Porter fight. But one of the things I noticed about Porter is he pressures you different than most other welterweights. He likes to get in close. He's not afraid of the close fight, the phone book fight, staying at your chest and providing a constant pressure where it's almost uncomfortable. You have to get it. You have to get some respect and do certain things boxing wise to get him up off of you and like back him up. Like Kell Brook, when he fought Shawn Porter, he clinched and he used a great piston like jab, and you have to do those types of things because Shawn Porter, he's rugged, and the thing is he's confident in that style. This is how he's always fought from what I heard in terms of like the amateurs. He even competed at a higher weight class above 160 as an amateur, and he likes that rugged dogfight. I heard him and Pacquiao had some wars and sparring back in the day when Shawn Porter was selected as a sparring partner. So he brings a ton of experience, and he likes that pit bull in the trenches fight. And the thing is, Shawn Porter is confident because he knows his strengths and knows his weaknesses, and he knows he's good at that, and he knows a lot of people don't like that. So that's what you got to watch out for. And the other thing is Shawn Porter disciplines himself and he remains in shape, and that's big for boxing. Shawn Porter is definitely not the tallest guy in the division. He's shorter than Berto, and that didn't matter versus Keith Thurman, who was also taller, because again, it was a close competitive fight. At the end of the fight, they actually booed Keith Thurman. I thought Keith Thurman won the fight, but I'm not mad at people that said Shawn Porter, because it was a close fight. So, some fights like that are just extremely hard to score because it's just so much action, and it's like, do you like Keith Thurman's hard shots and precision but less of them, or do you like Shawn Porter's rugged determination, throwing more punches and bunches and like making Keith Thurman very uncomfortable, you know what I mean? Ripping to the body and just kind of like hell on wheels type of style. So, you know what I mean? It just depends on what you like. You can make an argument for certain rounds or swing rounds and stuff like that. And it was just a fun fight. But Shawn Porter, he knows he's in shape. He's clearly conditioned because Keith Thurman is a big puncher for the division, and he went 12 rounds with him. So that's another thing that makes him dangerous. Both guys are in shape. I've actually had the pleasure of seeing both guys train before, and Berto, before the fight was even announced, he was already in the gym, in the Virgil Hunter gym. He was training, and he looked quick as hell. His speed is still there. I talked to him. The interviews are on the channel, and Berto just sounded like he's in a good place. I heard Berto was just back in the day when he took some of his losses, he might have had his mind on other things, just like you're young, you know what I mean? And that's what happens. Sometimes you're young, you're hanging out with celebrities, things like that, and you just lose focus on what got you to this point, you know what I mean? Like you stay up too late and, oh, I don't feel like running as long, or different things like that. But Berto seems like he's in a great place now, and people don't understand the psychological aspect of boxing. The fact that he avenged his first ever career loss, that's big. It's big for fighters because it's like a monkey off your back. It's a chip off your shoulder, and you can move on. Because Berto did to Victor Ortiz, he knocked him out. And Victor Ortiz didn't knock Berto out, he just beat him, you know what I mean, in a fight of the year. So he almost one-upped you. I mean, you could say it happened later, but it is what it is. That's what happened. Reminds me of Miguel Cotto. He believes Antonio Margarito cheated in their fight, and then he was able to avenge that fight in the rematch. And that was the fight right before he fought Floyd Mayweather, and he seemed rejuvenated. I believe he was with Pedro Diaz, and Cotto, he gave Floyd a tough fight because psychologically, I think Cotto at that time was in a real good place. He had just beaten the guy that beat him in his first career loss, and he was ready to go after that. He's like, oh, I put that to rest. Now let's take on Floyd Mayweather. Same thing with Berto. Other thing you got to give credit, because Berto's been in there with Floyd Mayweather. Some people complain about the pick, but he still shared the ring, so that's valuable experience. So both guys have experience. Shawn Porter with Pacquiao, not in the professional setting, but in the sparring rooms. And then he's also been in there with a guy like Keith Thurman, who just unified with Danny Garcia. So this is an explosive fight, man. I really can make a case for both fighters winning. I think he's bigger than Shawn Porter. You can see that immediately when you see pictures of him at the face-off and stuff like that. But again, height doesn't always matter with Shawn Porter because he likes to dictate the pace and make a frenetic pace that you have to be able to keep up with and be in shape. Goes to your body. Like I said, I've seen both of them train, and they go ham. Like Berto on the double M bag, he's just bow, 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 very quick. And Shawn Porter, I seen him. He was at the high performance gym, his gym, and they were in the altitude room, and he's just punching with little oxygen as much as he can, nonstop. So I think both fighters are gonna push it to the max in training camp, and I don't see how this won't be an entertaining fight. I really see entertaining written all over this. And this is a big fight because I believe they made this an eliminator fight. And in addition to that, both guys are looking for bigger and better opportunities. They're both former welterweight champions, so they're looking to get into contentions to get those big paychecks and those otherwise bigger fights in the division. You got Kell Brook versus Errol Spence fighting each other. You got Keith Thurman, who just unified with Danny Garcia. You got names like Danny Garcia. Broner said he's going to welterweight. He's a name. So, you know what I mean? There's a lot of activity in the welterweight division. And then you also have guys like Luis Collazo, who He's coming off a good win. Those are definitely fights you can have in the meantime if you can't get a title shot. So a lot of different ways you can mix and match the current welterweight picture. Floyd Mayweather could always pop his head back in. Pacquiao, I mean, he's fighting Jeff Horn most likely, but I mean, once he gets beyond that, that's an option possibly if his team would allow that. Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Now, Andre Berto and Shawn Porter, both veterans. Andre Berto has a record of 31 wins with 4 losses. Shawn Porter has a record of 26, 2, and 1. Those 2 losses were to current champions, Kell Brook, who has a big fight with Errol Spence, as I mentioned, and Keith Thurman, guys who currently still have a belt. So it goes to show you that Shawn Porter hasn't just lost to anybody. And he has 1 draw, and that was with Julio Diaz, and he avenged that draw and beat him convincingly. And that was early in his career. Age, Berto is the older fighter. Berto is 33 years old. Shawn Porter is 29 years old. Now, the height, Berto is listed at 5'6.5", and Shawn Porter is listed at 5'7". But if you look at the face-off and past pictures, obviously having shoes on and the surface you're standing on and stuff like that could skew these numbers a bit. But Berto appears to be the taller fighter, so it looks like it's slightly reversed. But this is what they are listed at, and this is taking place at 147 pounds, the full welterweight limit. And again, this is a welterweight WBC eliminator for the champion, who is Keith Thurman, to get a shot at him. So either a rematch for Shawn Porter or Berto versus his friend from Florida, Keith Thurman. I don't know if they want to fight because I know they have history and they've sparred tons of rounds together and stuff, but you never know. Business is business. Now, in the reach department, Berto has a reach of 68.5 inches to Shawn Porter's 69.5 inches. So when I've been doing these Boxingego first look tail of the tapes, one thing you'll notice is the fights that we perceive as fans as good fights and 50-50 and just overall good fights, you notice the resumes, the age, the heights, and the reach, and all these different criterias, they are all pretty close. You know what I mean? So this makes me even more excited for this fight, April 22nd. Again, both guys are always in phenomenal shape, both athletic. I talked to Berto. He said he had different things going on, you know what I mean, when he was younger, probably being young and being the lifestyle and having all that money, hanging out with celebrities and stuff like that, you might lose your focus on what's important in your career and stuff, and you know what I mean, get gone with the wind and caught up with the in crowd and stuff like that. But it sounds like Berto's in a good place, because I talked to him not too long ago. The interviews are up on the channel, and Berto sounds like he's happy, he's training, and even before he knew he was getting this fight, he was already in shape and he was already training. And Shawn Porter, I've seen some training footage of him. He looks like he's gutting it out. He's been wanting a big fight, and this is a big fight, big platform, brand new venue. Barclays is a new arena, a new venue. It's happening in New York. Premier Boxing Champs and Showtime is absolutely killing the first half of 2017. By far, they put on way better cards and way better fights than their competition, and that's, you can't even dispute that at this point unless you're super biased. But they put on the Badu Jack and James DeGale card with Tank Davis winning a IBF strap. You had Mikey Garcia with one of the knockouts of the year on the same card as Leo Santa Cruz versus Carl Frampton. They put Lamont Peterson going in an eliminator with David Avanesian on the same card as Adrian Broner versus Adrian Granados, which was a great fight. Now we're getting Showtime Shawn Porter versus Andre the Beast Berto, April 22nd, with Luis King Kong Ortiz on the undercard at the Barclays, and it should be a good fight. You drop your fight predictions below. Let me know who you think will win and how do they win. I do advise everybody to go watch tape, because I think this is a good fight, and I think it's a close fight, and there's little, I think it's anyone's fight. It just depends on game planning and preparation and things like that. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Boxingego first look, tail of the tape, Berto versus Porter, April 22nd on Showtime. Drop it in the comment section. Make sure you share the video, like the video as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.